Hello everyone, I am Michael Fatter, and today I will be performing a PM on a Hospira Plum A+ infusion pump with MedNet. As you can see right here, this is the pump. The materials required for this PM is the pump itself and the Plum A+ cassette. This is a basic tester, and I have a better setup over here to my left with a actual cassette connected with an IV bag, and then on the other end with the graduated cylinder. And right here got the electrical safety analyzer, which is hooked up to this pump on the far right over here. So that's what I'm going to start off with first. I'm going to turn this pump on, and we're going to go into biomed settings or service mode. You know, there's different kinds of titles for it, but these are just the settings that us biomeds go into to do PMs and such. So we're going to go down here, and when I turned it on, ran its self-test. Obviously everything went fine. And we're going to go to training/test. Hit enter, period, start. And we just go down here and we're just going to change battery. Battery symbol went down a little bit, so basically I'm just going to turn it off, turn it right back on, and now I'm going to show you how we check the pump for electrical safety. Got this ancient electrical safety analyzer over here, and this green and yellow wire is connected to the back of this pump where the ground log is. Basically I'm going to go over here, and this button's already clicked into resistance, and pump checks out if the resistance is below 0.2 ohms. As you can see, it is. And now we go to the button next to it. It says case to ground. And then you can go over here where my finger is, and that one is open ground. Hold that in, and checks out to be 29.4, and as long as it is below 100, it is good to go. So that's fine. So back over here, I can turn this guy off. Now onto the next step. What I have here is the basic cassette, and I'm going to use that to run occlusion tests. And an occlusion is basically we got air or cut off with either the proximal tube or the distal tube. And turn this guy on. Let it do its self-test. And what we're using with these pumps for fluid is just distilled water. Nothing special. And one thing I want to show you guys is we go into training/test, and it says a new patient, I guess. There's an option on the far left once we get into the menu. It's back prime. And back prime is basically the option to get air out of the cassette. Obviously you don't want air inside of the tubes. You can't have air going into the veins of patients. So that back prime is needed when the alarm will sound saying there's an occlusion with air in the proximal or distal tubing, but I have it set up now to where there should be no back prime needed. It should be all set to go. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to press A. And the rate, we're going to use 200 milliliters an hour and 7.5 milliliters of volume to be infused, BTBI. Going to hit start, confirm the program yes, and that's going to run. Might as well jump right into it and show you guys the occlusions. So this bottom one, the distal, clamp that down, and the alarm sounds, stopping pumping, letting us know that there's a distal occlusion. Take the clamp off, press start again, and it's gonna keep running because there's no blockage that I just had. You go up here, go to the proximal tubing, clamp it down. This one takes a little bit longer to sense the occlusion. And there it is. So I'll clamp this, let it run. So those are both the occlusion tests, and that basically is the main or important part about making sure these pumps work correctly. So over here I got a bigger setup with the pump, IV bag, graduated cylinder, and that such. I can go in here, do my same setup, 200 milliliters an hour at 7.5 milliliters of volume to be infused. Hit enter, start, confirm the program yes. I have the stopwatch here, I'm going to time it. And these pumps say that the volume to be infused should take about no more than 2 minutes or so. If we see that it goes over 2.5 minutes, then we know that something's wrong. I'm going to hit yes, start the stopwatch. And with that sounding, go over here and show that the volume was infused and it's all cycling through this basic cassette. Stop that. And over here, you guys can see that very vaguely, distilled water dripping into the graduated cylinder. So everything checks out to be pumping so far. Right now we're at about 45 seconds and 2.7 milliliters of fluid infused. And one thing about these pumps is at about 2 minutes the alarm will sound if there's no activity with the pump. No buttons being pressed, no fluid being pumped, there's no action going on with the pump at all. So that is good in case something were to go wrong with the pump or the patient is done with treatment. So we'll go back over here, see how it's doing. It's at about 5.3 milliliters infused. We're at about 1:42. And as you can see, we got a legit cassette setup running to the IV bag, fluid running into the graduated cylinder over here. We're almost near the end of our test, getting close, and that's it. 2 minutes 15 seconds. It's fairly good. I'm going to stop this, and here we go. We got a pump that's been in idle for 2 minutes, so the alarm has sounded. Stop that, and I'll turn it off. Same with this guy, I'll turn it off too. After all's finished, take the tubing out, go over here, check to see amount of fluid infused. Since I gotta hold it at an angle, won't be able to tell, but we all know that you set it on a flat surface, check the meniscus level, and that seemed to be about 7 to 7.5 milliliters of fluid infused. So that all checked out. And that is how you conduct a PM on a Hospira Plum A+ infusion pump.